Okay, so welcome to our Staying Well Together Wednesday group. And today we're going to be talking about heart health. So I'm just going to share my screen because we have a little presentation to go through with you. Start from the top, that would be helpful. There we go. Okay, so let me loading thing. All righty, perfect. Here we go. So heart health. Woo. So first off, what does the heart do? I found this pretty incredible. So the heart beats about 2.5 billion times over the average lifetime. It pushes millions of gallons of blood to every part of the body. And then this steady flow of blood carries with it oxygen, fuel, hormones, other compounds, and a host of essential cells. And then it also whisks away the waste products of metabolism. So it puts the good stuff out in the body, takes away like the toxins and the waste products. When the heart stops, essential functions can fail. Some of them can be instant. So that's why we have to keep our hearts very healthy. So people with disabilities are at a greatly increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease, so heart disease, including heart attacks and stroke. So there's a number of reasons why this is the case. One is for some people, depending on your disability, it might be difficult or impossible for you to get regular physical activity. You could also have reduced access to preventative health care. So either financially or because of physical barriers, you might not be able to get into facilities or have access to the appropriate doctors that understand those high risks that we have. Financial limitations to accessing healthy foods can be another barrier for people with disabilities. And then also biological contributors. So I know, for example, people with spinal cord injuries, there's like a physiological reason why, no matter sort of how healthy or quote unquote small you are at an increased risk of cardiovascular disease just because of the way our bodies metabolize certain materials. It's a little complicated. Instead of getting into all the details, it just sucks. These are all the reasons for the increased risk. So we're just going to watch a quick little video on how to improve your heart health, and then we'll continue on.
And now it's time for another Wellness 101. How to improve your heart health, presented by St. Luke's University Health Network. My man, sitting on the couch, enjoying that pastrami on rye and loving the pork rinds with a big old glass of diet soda. You watching the game? What's the score? I'll tell you what the score is. 1 out of every 4 Americans will die from heart disease this year, and the next year, and the year after that, costing the U.S. about $200 billion each year. It's important to know the risk factors like smoking, high cholesterol, obesity, diabetes, and stress, just to name a few. Now that you know the risks, do something about them. It's time to even the score with heart disease, and we've got 5 simple steps to help get you started. Step 1. Get enough sleep. Simply put, sleep helps your body repair itself. Studies have shown that getting at least 7 hours of sleep per night is paramount for optimal heart health, and good quality sleep is a bonus. If you have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, your heart's not getting the refresh it needs, and neither are you. Step 2. Watch your diet. This one's a big one. Consider cutting back on salt. Limit your alcohol consumption to no more than 1 or 2 drinks a day, if at all. Try eating fruits, veggies, whole grains, and lean protein in reasonable-sized portions. Cut down on saturated fats, which are mainly found in meat and full dairy products. And totally quit trans fats, which are found in processed foods. They'll drive up your bad cholesterol level. Step 3. Find out if you have diabetes. Millions of people don't know that they have this condition. That's risky because over time, high blood sugar damages arteries and makes heart disease more likely. If you have borderline high blood sugar, also known as pre-diabetes, take action now to turn things around. Step 4. Move. Aim for 30 minutes of exercise a day, 5 days a week. That includes any activity that gets you moving around and breaking a sweat, even a slight sweat. Walk or run. Lift weights, ride your bike, join a gym, do whatever it takes. Don't just stop there though. Pay attention to how much time you spend seated, whether it's at work, in your car, or on your couch at home. You want to cut that time down. Even if you exercise for 30 minutes a day, being sedentary for the other 23 and a half hours is really bad for your heart. Step 5. Stop smoking. If you do nothing else, stop smoking. The nicotine in cigarette smoke reduces how much oxygen your heart gets. It raises your blood pressure and speeds up your heart rate. It also makes blood clots more likely, which can lead to heart attack or stroke. Thanks for watching. Maybe you already have heart disease. Maybe you don't. It doesn't matter. Heart disease is relatively a lifestyle disease, aside from hereditary issues. Take the steps I just mentioned and get in the game for better heart health. Don't forget to smash that like button and share to all who have ticker problems.
Okay, so obviously some of those things are not things that we as people with disabilities can do exactly like he's saying. Some of the exercise piece might not be possible, but we're going to go through some alternatives. So other ways to, get some mindfulness into our day, things like that, other ways to reduce our risks to having heart issues. And all right, here we go. So Alana was going to talk a little bit about heart healthy food options.
Okay, the heart healthy food options can be whole grains, for example, oatmeal and wild rice. Green vegetables, for example, dark leafy greens, which are kale or spinach. Nuts, example, walnuts and almonds. Those are very good for heart health. The other vegetables are carrots, broccoli, asparagus, red peppers, and acorn squash. Fruit examples are berries, cantaloupe, and cherries. And you can have red wine in moderation, dark chocolate, and flax seeds.
What I found interesting about this list of heart healthy foods is what stands out to you. Like they're all very colorful, right? Like it's that whole eat the rainbow, idea around food. So, and these things, like you can have them together. So for example, one of my favorite salads is like a spinach or a kale salad where I'll put fresh berries on top. I'll put some chopped walnuts, maybe a little bit of goat cheese, and like some balsamic dressing. So there you've just checked off, like 4 different things on there. You can even throw some flax seeds on top or some hemp hearts for a little bit of crunch, and you're checking off like a lot of those boxes, even in just one meal. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to get these things into your diet. If you're not a big like fruit and vegetable person, smoothies are a good option. Juicing stuff is not that great. They've looked into it, and yes, there are some benefits in terms of hydration and things like that, but you do lose a lot of the fibrous stuff, all the good stuff that comes from fruits and vegetables. So smoothies are really good. And yeah, whole grains, amazing. So I've always told my mom, like, stay away from the white stuff, stay away from like the white bread, white rice, white pasta. Look for not whole wheat, because all that whole wheat means is that it's like the individual like piece, where whole grain is they keep it all together. So you get like all the components of the grain, and it's like much healthier for you. So whole grain pasta, wild rice. I really like basmati rice, which you can mix with like a brown rice, because sometimes brown rice is a little bit hard, but there's a lot of ways to get these healthy foods into your diet. And it doesn't have to be boring or tasteless. Like it can all be very delicious and good for you. All right, so talking a little bit about physical activity. So for those of us that are able to exercise, the recommended amount is 150 minutes per week, which might sound like a lot, but that's literally 30 minutes 5 times a week. So 30 minutes. So even if you were to work out for an hour, that's only 4% of your day. So 2% of your day being 30 minutes, do that 5 times a week, and you're going to greatly reduce your risk of heart disease. So a few examples of ways to get that moderate activity. So meaning our heart rate gets up a bit and we're breaking a sweat if possible, because I know depending on your disability, sweating might not be an option. Like for myself, it's quite hard for me to sweat. So when I do break a sweat, it's pretty exciting. So going for a brisk walk or a jog or a wheel is great. Doing upper body aerobics, so like the jacks and boxing, things like that. Going cycling if you're able to, or hand cycling is great. Doing resistance training. So if you're trying to get more on the aerobic exercise side of things instead of the muscle development side, then you're going to want to use lower weights and go higher reps and faster reps. So that's going to like increase your heart rate and get that aerobic intensity. Swimming is amazing. So I know personally when I get in the pool, I have so much more freedom in terms of movement and stuff like that. I'm able to move muscles that I don't even know can work when I'm outside of the water. Dancing, or just dance that we like to do together. Is there any other ideas? Do you guys have anything that you like to do? Mom, do you have anything that I've missed on this list that you like to do?
No, because of your thing, I get 6 hours of exercise a week minimum.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're well above, the recommended amount. So that's amazing. And I know you've incorporated walks into your lifestyle recently, and it's become literally part of your lifestyle, right? Like instead of just being like, oh, I have to book it in or I have to do this, like
I love it. I'm so upset with the snow.
Yeah, and that's the issue. In the wintertime, we can be really restricted. There are, ways to stay active through the winter months. As you guys know, I love curling. There's sit skiing. One of the women that participates in my workout group, she does sit skiing, which is like cross country skiing, but seated. For those of our friends that are able to walk, things like snowshoeing are amazing, or cross country skiing or downhill skiing. Like there's a lot of things to do in the winter. And I find that if you're able to fill your days with activity, then yeah, it's awesome for you physically, but emotionally, mentally, it makes you hate the winter maybe a little less. All right, so that's physical activity. Another important component is monitoring your health for healthy hearts. So something like monitoring blood pressure. So Mom and I can attest that like my dad wasn't great about this. So he came over and I had like a little blood pressure monitor, which you can purchase at, Shoppers Drug Mart or Wellwise or even on Amazon. And then they're not even that expensive and it helps you stay on top of your blood pressure. So my dad was over and he was mentioning some of his heart stuff and I took his blood pressure and it was through the roof. And I was like, Dad, when's the last time you checked your blood pressure? So he made an appointment to see the doctor right away. He got in to see the cardiologist, all because we recognized, that something might be wrong by that elevated blood pressure, but he just wasn't necessarily feeling anything. So staying on top of, the monitoring process is really important. And remembering that certain disabilities can affect your blood pressure. So either make it your like standard resting blood pressure can be very low or very high. And so it's really important that your healthcare professional be aware of this. So an example where this was an issue was I went to the hospital and they took my blood pressure and it was like 125 over, let's say 90 something. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am dying. Like that's extremely high. But to them, they were like, oh, that's totally normal. But I had to tell the nurse, no, this is not normal. There is something wrong. And sure enough, there was, and they were able to determine that afterwards. But had I not let them know that my resting blood pressure is typically way lower, they would have just written that off as, oh, she's got healthy, good blood pressure, but it wasn't for me. And then I do know that there's other disabilities where your blood pressure can be higher. And I know, Alana, you had an example of where your blood pressure was different than the norm and it might have got overlooked had you not said something.
Yeah, I had a nurse that I hadn't seen before, and when she took my blood pressure, I can't remember the exact numbers, but the top number was 121, and then I can't remember what the bottom was, but she told me it was high. And I said, well, what's the numbers? And she told me, and I said, well, that's the normal for me, because every time I come in, whether I'm stressed out or not, that's my blood pressure. It's just, I have a disability. It has, it's not necessarily normal.
Mhm.
It can be higher or lower. It doesn't have to be exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people, depending on their disability, like Wendy, is your blood pressure usually low?
My blood pressure, I don't know, for many years it was always like 90/60, but I just think it's I think it's just nurses not taking it fully, because my blood pressure's always been very faint.
Okay.
Um, but then I got started taking it at the hospital, and I started getting nurses with better blood pressure cuffs, and it's like 120/80, like right on the money.
Oh,
So it's like I'm just beginning to wonder if it was just bad readings that the nurses were getting because they couldn't hear the proper beats.
yeah.
So
That's so interesting. So again, your disability was affecting not necessarily your actual blood pressure, but their ability to like
take, yeah,
breathe. Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
And what about
My
you? What's your blood pressure like?
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
Sorry, hon. Mine is normally high, so I take pills to keep it down.
Okay. Yours?
Yeah, I've got another story. My brother, he's got what's called Ehlers-Danlos, which is basically your joints subluxate, which means they go out and go right back in. And his normal blood pressure is like 90/60.
Okay. Yeah. So that's about
So
mine.
it's yeah.
So that's when it was like 130 on something, I was like, whoa, like what? That's like 40, numbers about where it should be. Like it was obviously something was going on. And that's when I had like a bad infection in my leg, and my body was like saying, whoa, something's going on. So yeah, so it's really important that we be aware of that. And if you have a blood pressure monitor at home, know what your regular blood pressure is, so you can take it a few times, and knowing what like the standard is, and also recognizing that sometimes when we're getting blood pressure taken, it could be in a stressful situation which can affect your blood pressure. So you might be going to the doctor and maybe you don't love going to the doctor, right? And that can make it go up a little bit, or like maybe you're having some sort of health crisis, and that can also affect your blood pressure. So just knowing what your level normally is really important. The next is monitoring weight loss or gain. So, all bodies are different. A healthy body is not a skinny body. There's, health is not about being a certain weight. It's really important that you are aware of what your standard weight is, so that if you have a sudden and significant weight loss or gain, this could be an indication of something being wrong. And you should definitely speak to your healthcare. So we've talked about weighing yourself. So when you have, a spinal cord injury, any type of disability that uses a mobility, where you use a mobility device, it can be very challenging trying to weigh yourself. I recently, my scale that I had, and I've had for like 5 or 6 years and was working great, they deleted the app off the app store. So I now have $1,000 boat anchor that I can't do anything with, which is so frustrating. So I'm now back to like zero. I have to figure out how to weigh myself. So there are hospitals, there are some medical facilities. Like I know the mobility clinic in Waterloo has an accessible scale. Lang's Health Center here in Cambridge has an accessible scale. So if you're ever interested in learning your weight or finding an accessible scale near to you, I'm happy to do the research and find it for you.
Also, sorry for the interruption.
Yeah.
Motion, motion, oh my gosh, National Home Health also has the lift, the Hoyer lift with the scale on
Oh,
it.
okay, amazing.
That's how I've done it. So they'll come to your home. Obviously, it's probably a service charge, but anyway, they come to your home and they hook up. If you're in a wheelchair, they hook up your sling to the lift. They pick you up, and then it weighs you. So
Oh, awesome. That's
just to let you know, that's also an option.
yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, because it's frustrating. Like anybody else who can stand can literally go to Walmart or like anywhere, Amazon, buy a scale for $30. We have to spend like, well, my friend just bought the cheapest scale on the market that's like not humongous, and it was $599. That's what it cost to buy a scale that she could wheel up on in her wheelchair. It's just criminal, but you know, it's very important that we know what our weight is, not, you know, because of, you know, for many reasons, for health reasons, but definitely the significant weight loss or gain thing is very important when it comes to heart health. And lastly, make sure that you're getting regular checkups. So I am, you know, my mom will attest, the queen of like waiting for something to fall off my body before I like do anything about it. So I'm starting as I get older to get better about seeing my doctor regularly and getting on top of things before it's an issue. How many people here are good about going for checkups?
I was prior to COVID. He just doesn't see the people anymore.
Yeah, true, right? So that's another issue is doctors aren't seeing people in person right now. A lot of them aren't. So that makes getting regular, you know, medical care really challenging and catching some of those things before they, you know, get a little bit more serious. So hopefully we're coming through this and we'll be out of that scenario soon. But yeah, making sure you're seeing your doctor regularly, making sure it's a doctor that understands your disability and how it can affect your heart health and the other parts of our bodies is really important. So yeah, just staying on top of your health in general is crucial because every part of health is affected. It's all connected, right? Even dental health is connected to heart health, and there's a risk of stroke if you don't have like good dental hygiene. So all these things are so interconnected. It's just really important to stay on top of it. And like I said in the other video, sleep health is very important for heart health. So I just found this quick little video with 10 tips for a good night's sleep. And oh my gosh, there's one slide in here that is so funny. So I'm excited for you guys to see it. Alana was dying. So, all right, here we go. Press play.
Sleep is something we all need, but many of us don't get enough of. We all struggle some of the time with falling asleep, staying asleep, or having early morning awakenings where we can't get back to sleep. Most of us can manage the odd bad night of sleep. But when sleepless nights become the norm rather than the exception, it's important to start to become diligent about implementing good sleep hygiene principles. Like good dental hygiene, sleep hygiene can serve an important preventative role and improve our ability to get better sleep more often. Most of us have probably heard of the term sleep hygiene, but not everyone necessarily knows exactly what it means. No, sleep hygiene does not have anything to do with cleanliness, although a clean bedroom won't hurt. Sleep hygiene refers to habits and practices that are conducive to sleeping well on a regular basis. This is not just a regular bedtime routine, but includes a number of daily practices that can help us to get restful sleep and feel alert during the day. Here are 10 of the most important sleep hygiene principles. 1. Have a consistent, fixed wake-up time, even on weekends, to build a steady sleep pattern. 2. Expose yourself to natural outside light upon awakening, even if it's cloudy outside. Open your blinds and have your morning cup of coffee or tea while gazing out the window. 3. Unless you are a shift worker, do not nap. Naps interfere with the restorative value of sleep later at night. If you're tired, The best strategy is to get into bed earlier that evening. 4. Do not have caffeine after noon. The half-life of caffeine is 5 hours, which means that 5 hours after having caffeine, 50% is still left in your body. It takes another 5 hours for the caffeine to be reduced in half again to 25%, and so on. So by 10 p.m., 25% of the caffeine from your 12 p.m. coffee will still be in your body. 5. Don't do intensive exercise 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. Exercise gets us physiologically aroused and activated, and this state is incompatible with sleep. 6. Reduce or eliminate alcohol use. Even 1 unit of alcohol interferes with sleep quality and makes sleep less restorative. 7. Create a bedtime routine that is relaxing. Create a ritual in the hour before sleep. Have decaf tea or a warm bath, dim the lights, and put away electronic devices. Make a clear distinction between daytime activities associated with alertness and bedtime ones associated with relaxation. 8. Make your bedroom environment comfortable and conducive to sleep. Get comfortable pillows and bedding, darken the room, and keep the temperature moderate. 9. Restrict your bed for 2 activities: sleep and sex. Don't watch.
Okay, so this is hilarious. Look at this picture. It's got 2 people, like an old man and an old woman, and they're all pixelated on the bed. I just thought it was so funny. I had
Yeah.
to pause it. Elena was dying yesterday when we saw this. She was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
So restrict your bed to 2 activities: sleep and sex. All right, I got number 10 coming up. The pixelated is hilarious. Okay.
TV, eat, talk on the phone, argue, or use your computer while in bed. Finally, if you can't fall asleep within 15 to 20 minutes, get out of bed and don't go back to sleep until you are sleepy, not just tired.
Okay, so I wanted to chat a little bit about everyone's sleep. So how is everybody's sleep? Wendy, how do you sleep?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm not great, but I was worse. I go to bed at 10 o'clock every night, and I'm usually done by 10:30, and by 4 to 11, I'm usually asleep.
Okay.
Wake up throughout the night for various reasons where staff have to come in.
Yeah.
But I go back to sleep very quickly when they come at 12:30. When they come at 5 a.m., I'm awake for the day.
Okay.
So that's a bit early. Yeah, I get tired by about mid-evening.
Okay, so 6 hours sleep, and it's not straight through. So, but yeah, I get it. Like there's certain things, like I have to get up to go to the bathroom a few times a night, so that's understandable. I have some disruptions. Do you have, sounds like you have a bit of a bedtime routine. So do you get to bed and like, do you do anything once you're in bed, or?
When I go to bed, I don't know, I turn the TV on for a little bit, but then I
Yeah.
fall asleep. The TV, I have it set so it turns off. Like
Perfect.
it doesn't stay on. So that's all I do. I just watch TV for like literally 10-15 minutes, and that's it.
TV totally makes me sleepy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know for some people it's like up and they can't, but for me, I'm like you, it'll knock me out. I'll be watching something and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm asleep. Like, so, what about you, Mom? Or you weren't always a good sleeper. What's your sleep these days?
I was always having trouble falling asleep, and I'm trying to whole different things.
Yeah.
I have a music on my phone that I really, really like. And then again, it wasn't working. So one of these shows that I was watching, I know it was fantasy, but he said to a guy that couldn't sleep, just do 1, 2, 1, 2 in and out with your breath.
Yeah.
And that has really worked. Because when I was counting farther, you make your brain work.
Yeah, true.
And 1, 2, 1, 2 does it. As long as you're breathing nice and slow.
Yeah.
It helps, but I'm up like you 3 times a night minimum.
Yeah. Are you still exercising before bed? Because I know that was an issue.
That was calm exercise.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So like yoga, like just stretching, like stuff like that, nothing too intensive.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Because yeah, you definitely get that rush. Like if you exercise, I know there's been times where I haven't been able to fit a workout in earlier in the day, and I fit it in at like even 8 or something, and I am like spun. Like at bedtime, I'm laying there and just totally can't close my eyes. So, what about you, Alana? What's your sleep patterns like?
Well, I usually go to bed midnight and get up at 9ish.
Okay,
Um,
getting a good stretch.
yeah, and then there's some days that my mom and I are sitting in the family room watching TV, and the next thing we know, we're both waking up
Yeah.
to the next show. So we have to rewind and rewatch the show.
You know what? The one thing on this thing that I struggled with was the no naps. Because let me tell you, I mean, I'm pretty busy and I don't get a lot of opportunity to nap. But when I do here and there, having a little like 20-minute power nap, oh, I love it. But I do know some people where it really messes with them. If they sleep during the day at all, they're not able to sleep at night. But I like a good nap. All right, cool. So it sounds like we've all got pretty good sleep health. And yeah, always things we can do to improve it. Like I shouldn't really have my phone on in bed. The blue light gonna wake, set your brain up that says it's time to wake up. Now that I'm obsessed with coffee, I definitely drink it a little bit too late into the day. I didn't realize that half-life of coffee situation. Like it takes so long to get out of your system, but it's so good. So yeah, it's all about balance. Okay, so next, you need, a very important component of health is stress reduction. So there's a lot of ways that we can reduce stress, and there's just a list here. And Alana and I were going to talk a little bit about some of our experiences. So with meditation, Alana, I know you really enjoyed the meditation.
Yeah.
Continue doing that. So what did you like about it? How did it make you feel?
Well, the day that we had the meditation with Nathan, it was I had a very stressful morning that day, and just when the meditation came, I was looking forward to it all day.
Yeah.
And then when we had it, I was so relaxed by the end of the hour. It was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how effective it is. It really can like shut off those receptors in our bodies that are making us feel anxious and everything, and you're focused on something else. And yeah, meditation is great. Mom, do you do meditation? You've done it with us, I think, before, but do you do it otherwise?
Yeah, the hospital used to have us doing it.
Okay, awesome.
In a group.
Yeah, nice. And I know, Wendy, you've said you don't necessarily love it, and it's not for everyone, that's for sure.
No, I've attempted it a couple times, but you know what? She sounds weird. I get bored.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, well, my eyes closed. I'm trying to relax and whatever. I'm like, I'm bored. I need to be doing something.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That I totally hear you on that one. I'm like a stimulation junkie, like where I kind of need something to be going on. So I really have to like focus on being okay with not doing much more than listening and relaxing. So it takes a lot. And yoga can help too, like having a good yoga practice. So we're gonna start having Nathan come back. So he'll be here not next week, but the week after on Wednesday. And he's gonna be coming once a month throughout this winter time into the spring. So we'll start doing some yoga. Definitely help with stress. Another thing is crafts. So I know Alana was talking about, like, she loves to you do a lot of quilting, right, Alana?
Yep.
Quilting, and do you do knitting too? I can't remember.
I used to. I need to get back into it. I found it really helpful with my left hand.
Yeah.
It's when I finally got a hold of the knitting needle and started knitting. I didn't want to stop because it actually relaxed my hand,
That's amazing.
which was really good.
So stress reduction and a little bit of like OT, right? Like a little
Yeah.
fine motor skills. And Mom, I know when COVID first started, you were doing a lot of painting. And did you do that? Like, was that helpful with stress reduction?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, I really loved it. I just ran out of walls.
Ran out of walls. It was very calming for you. And you were so yeah, crafts are definitely an option. And I know it's like online color pages, things like that. So there's ways to do necessarily having to do it with. So yeah, there's definitely something for everyone. Practicing deep breathing is another thing that's very good. So I find that I do this like in the moment. So if Ben's like driving me bananas or I just like, and I know I'm about to like kind of snap, like I'll just stop and I'll take a few deep breaths, and then that kind of helps to like reset my stress, and I'm just like much calmer. Do any of you guys do that? Well, Mom, you were just saying you're doing breathing at bedtime.
And also James, for the last, I think he was about 6 when he first started, and he'd see me getting anxious, and he would gentle little voice, breathe in, breathe out.
Oh,
For about until he could see me calm down. It was gentle little voice, but that deep breathing really works.
Yeah, deep breathing definitely works, or even just like that square breathing, right? Like, so you breathe in, you hold it for a couple seconds, breathe out, hold it for a couple seconds. So that can definitely help. Managing your social media and screen time. I'm very guilty for not doing this enough, but definitely not getting so fixated. I mean, I did delete Facebook off my phone, I think going on almost 2 years ago now, and it feels very freeing. Like I'll pop onto Facebook probably once a day just to scroll through for about 3 minutes, and I'm like, this is so boring, and then off I go. I don't miss it at all. But managing social media or screen time is great. Do any of you have strategies? Like, do you have like one of those timers on your phone, or just like, are you cognizant of like how much screen time you're getting?
Well, I have books on my iPad, so I'm not necessarily doing screen time.
Yeah.
My iPad says that I'm doing screen time when I'm reading a book, but
Yeah.
I just put my book on, put my iPad down, and there you go. I'm not looking at my iPad, but
yeah. No, definitely. I think reading doesn't count. And it's so funny because like last year I had this thing on my phone where it would tell me every day for a month, like what my percentage of screen time was. And mine was like 80% podcasts. So it was like, listen to like 15 podcasts this week or whatever, something ridiculous. But one that I forgot to add on here, and you just reminded me, is reading. And I know, Wendy, that's a big thing for you. Do you find that helps you reduce stress or feel calm or?
Yeah, believe it or not, I'm listening to an audio book, but I don't just sit there and listen to it. I can't. I have to keep doing something else.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm playing literally a card game.
Okay.
While I listen to the book.
Cool.
And it works. And I can actually, I know the book says, I understood it, I remember it, and I'm still playing a game at the same time. Like I'm playing just a card game, like a version of solitaire or something like that. Just a simple, quiet, card game. I can't just sit there and listen to a book. I fall asleep.
I hear you, Wendy. I can't just
same with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple games on my iPad, and while I'm reading the book with my headphones on, I'm playing the one of my games. I'm the same as Wendy. I can't.
Okay, I'm not the only one.
sit and read.
Yeah, for sure.
Another thing that's not on there is music. When you asked Wendy, that's the first thing I thought of.
Oh yeah.
I put music on my TV when I'm cleaning house or something. It's nice to have something on that you enjoy. Nothing
Yeah,
like,
yeah. When I'm
Yeah.
not reading, I have the radio on, or I have music playing on my Amazon, like
Yeah.
Prime, or I'm just like whatever. Like, and the other day I was listening to a show on TV and had audio descriptions. So I didn't have to face the TV at all. So I'm still sitting here playing my game and listening to the show.
I love
Cool.
it. Yeah, music is like, I find music is so powerful. Like
Yeah.
music can literally take you back to like a moment, right? Like there's certain songs where I'm like, in my brain, I can picture myself sitting in my friend's bedroom as a teenager and exactly what we were doing and eating and the smells and like, it's so incredible. So yeah, definitely, you can use it for stress reduction for sure. Another thing that I find very helpful, and Elena and I were talking about this, is connecting with others. So I know right now it's difficult to see people in person, but even if it's virtually or on the phone, like I really like having a good long catch up chat with like a good friend every once in a while, because I know I feel better after. Like, how do you guys connect with others right now? How are you doing that?
when
Well,
COVID first started, I really liked our COVID chats.
Yeah.
The family gets busy and we can't do it anymore, but it was so nice and relaxing. It was fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, and that might be something that maybe we need to schedule that in, like make that a priority, right? Where maybe once a week, even for like 15 minutes, we all hop on or whoever's available and just like have that connection time because we're not able to see each other as frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Elena?
Yeah, I've got a couple friends that I constantly text, and when we're able to do a video chat, we're on for 3 hours
Oh, wow.
Wow.
chatting,
That's
and
a
we're
good connection.
yeah, and one of my friends is from high school, and the other one's actually Kelly. And
Okay.
when we're all the three of us are video chatting, I like we start at, for example, 1, and then when we hop off, it's 4.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a good chat. I know,
Yeah.
Wendy, you just recently had like some family over. Like, doesn't it make you feel so good? Like, just, I don't know, being around your people, right?
Yeah, I do a lot of, like, my family still comes here every couple weeks, and I also talk to them on the phone. Like, I talk to them almost every day. I
Yeah.
will call her. And my brother, I'll talk to him probably once every 4 or 5 days. They're on the phone, but when him and I get on the phone, we don't get off. It's like,
Yeah.
or on the phone or on a messenger chat. So it's kind of funny because like him and I will start chatting at like 8 o'clock at night or whatever, and I will talk to him until 10 until I go to bed. Like it
Oh
just,
my
him and I
gosh.
just like it just keep like him and I are really close, so we just keep talking about everything and anything, and it's cool. Like I have other friends I connect with too. I text and video chat with, but my biggest outlet is getting accessibility. It's like we start our chats at 2 o'clock and we don't get off until I go to bed at 10.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, they're not timed. They're just open. They're just there.
Yeah, having that connection is so, so nice. And you feel good after. And I know I've loved having my brother and we just laugh and you feel so good after. And I don't know, it's good.
This isn't exactly what you're talking about, but for me, that thing you got me for Christmas,
Oh,
if I sit here, I'm seeing it. Everybody in the family has the code and they can send pictures to this frame on my wall.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And so I not only do I see what they're doing this last week, but I see the faces I love.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. That's why we did it, you know. We wanted you to feel like we're kind of there.
I love it so
A
much.
little bit there. Yeah, so all right, next was creating boundaries and learning that it's okay to say no. This is something I really struggle with, and I think a lot of people do, is just I never want to let anybody down, right? So if someone asks me to help them with something or to do a presentation or to do whatever, I'm always just like, sure, yes, yes, yes. And then all of a sudden I look at my calendar and like I'm way overbooked. So do you guys struggle with this at all?
A
No.
little bit. I remember it was a few years ago. I booked something. I can't remember what it was, but I didn't have my calendar. I didn't have my calendar with me because I misplaced it.
Okay.
And I booked two things on the same day at different times, but one of them took longer than I anticipated and went into the other appointment.
Oh,
So I had to go to the other appointment after my first appointment and basically explain why I was late, because I didn't have my calendar, and I didn't realize that I booked them so closely together. I thought I booked them and not like apart, but I didn't.
and that's stressful, right? You feel stressed
Yeah.
when that happens, and like maybe you let that person down or you made them wait or whatever. But you have to learn that it's okay. Like, we're human beings, things happen. It's okay
Mhm.
to say no. It's okay to be a little bit late. It's okay.
Yeah.
Next
I
one,
really struggle with that.
yeah. The next one, which is adorable, is cuddle with an animal or a person, right? Having that physical contact. Maybe it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, whatever. Maybe it's your dog or your cat or your gerbil, which I have yet to pick up. So yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like I just get like a lot of energy, like positive energy when I'm close to someone else. So cuddling is a good way to reduce stress for sure. And this is something, even just physical contact, this is something that was really hard for people when COVID, with COVID happening, because we don't even have like normal human physical contact like we used to have. Like, for example, in a store, someone being like, "Oh, excuse me," and like touching your back, or like just reaching out and touching an arm. Like, nobody touches each other anymore. So I think it's really important that we find a way to get that human connection, even if it's a matter of like booking a massage, then you get like, another person is actually touching you. Like, I think it's really important to make sure that you are having physical touch, on a regular basis. Next is spending time in nature. So right now I'm looking out my window and it's snowing heavy, and I'm like, I don't want to have anything to do with nature right now, but come spring and summer, I'm outside as much as possible. I don't know about you guys. Do you enjoy being out in the nice weather? I know, Wendy, you do. You love being out in the
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Mom, you like it. Your springtime makes you happy.
Yeah, there's no bugs yet.
Yeah, you're happy in the
Yeah.
spring. And Alana, you love being in nature, right? You like go for your walks and bike rides and stuff. So
Yeah.
so that's amazing. So that's a really great way. There's actually like a principle called grounding, which is like when you physically touch the earth. It's like actually really good for stress relief. So just being like a part of this planet and Mother Nature, and like just being around trees and dirt and like, flowers and all that kind of stuff is proven to be really, really good for you for stress. And the last one we have on here is aromatherapy. So after we talked about this yesterday, Alana, when I took a shower last night, I noticed that my body wash is like stress relieving. And I looked at it and it had like lavender, it had ylang ylang, and it had another thing in there. I was like, oh, so I did a little research, and sure enough, those things are all really good for stress reduction. So whether you do like an infuser, like in your house, or a diffuser, sorry, where you add water and a few drops of essential oil, or have it in a product like I have it like in a body wash or like lotion or something like that. There's like pillow sprays that are just lavender that can help with stress reduction and with sleep too. Or even having it in a tea, like a nice lemongrass, or I have like a sleepy tea that's got like a bunch of different valerian root and chamomile and all these things that help with sleep, but also smell just like so good. Is there a smell that you guys love, that you smell and you're just like, oh, love it? Maybe like a natural scent. Like, I know lavender for me, I think, is my go-to. I love lavender.
I do too.
Yeah,
But
it's
I
so
just use the Scentsy warmers. I don't really use anything like aromatherapy,
yeah,
like the
diffuser.
diffusers or yeah that you
Yeah,
talked about. And I've tried that, and I didn't really. I wasn't a big fan of those. But
yeah,
sometimes I just turn on my Scentsy warmer, and I just get like a nice pleasant smell, and like
it's
depending on
nice.
what scent I put in. Yeah, it depends. I just can't have anything too strong either, right? Because breathing on a ventilator, you can really smell it.
Yeah, yeah,
Even
you want
worse,
to
you can
be
almost taste
careful
it.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, there's certain ones that I really love, and I don't like anything too strong or too flowery.
yeah,
I love lavender, I really do.
yeah.
And stuff like that. Just enjoy it. So
Yeah,
that's it.
I'm actually gonna plant a bunch of lavender this summer in my garden. So last summer I dug a bunch of new gardens along the back and there's nothing back there. So Devin and I are gonna plant like a huge lavender section because I just love it so much. But yeah, so scent can really help with stress reduction as well. So these are all great ways to reduce our stress, and which in turn can improve our heart health, because we got to keep those seniors healthy, because and I didn't add this in because I wasn't sure who the audience necessarily was going to be for our group, but women, we are at a highly increased risk of developing heart disease. And here's the other issue: we tend to ignore those symptoms because we're always worried about everybody else or taking care of other people or just so busy in our own lives, right? That we put off that little weird feeling, and we're just like, oh, I pulled a muscle or whatever, right? All these things. So it's so important that we stay on top of our heart health, and yeah, keep the tickers going strong. So is there any last thoughts or anything that you took away from this that you think I'm going to try and incorporate maybe a little of that into my life to better heart health? Maybe eat the rainbow. Eat the rainbow. That's like a simple way to get like, and that doesn't mean all the M&Ms because they're all different colors. Fill your plate with all the colorful, beautiful food that this world has to offer.
I get the kids a lot. The other two, not Sherry's boy. And I'm tired by the time the weekend is over, but it's a good tired.
Yeah.
I feel wonderful. And James is still snuggly. I've only got about another year of snuggles left. But I love it. I love it and I know that if they make me tired, it doesn't matter because I've got 5 more days of waiting for them to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But they're good for me. They're really good for me.
Yeah.
My brain as well as anything else, because of now they both love chess.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a ball,
That's
but my brain will be working.
Yeah. So definitely that like human connection, in your case is like the nurturing too, probably like the maternal part of you that, we're all grown-ups now, your kids are. So you can use that with the little ones. So it's nice. That's awesome. All right. Well, I hope you all got some info from this that's maybe helpful to you, and that we go forward and focus on keeping our hearts healthy. And a lot of these things that we're talking about are good for our hearts and our overall well-being, right? So it's just good for the whole body. I'm going to stop recording now.